70s with a rewatch of Daisy Jones and the Six, which was a limited series on Amazon Prime based on a book. I have read about half the novel. I haven't finished it yet because, quite frankly, it's just not as good as the series. So this stars Sam Claflin and Riley Keough, and it is set in the 70s. So it follows two different stories. So on the one hand, you have the Six, which is the band who were originally called the Dunn Brothers, led by Sam Claflin's character, him and his brother and two other friends. And then later on, they pick up a female keyboardist called Karen, and they're going along doing their gigs in LA. Meanwhile, doing her own thing is Daisy Jones, who comes from a very rich but very neglectful family, basically a mother who didn't want her, a father who doesn't pay attention to her. She's out on the scene, lots of, it's the 70s, so there's lots of booze, there's lots of drugs. And at a certain point in time, the Six and Daisy Jones join together and become Daisy Jones and the Six. And the main story is that the main character, Billy, who is played by Sam Claflin, he and Daisy have a very intense, very love-hate relationship. He's married, so of course there's the whole forbidden romance thing. And the deal is that Billy is an ex-addict and Daisy is a constant reminder of like what he used to be. But it's a really fun show. I don't love the central romance because I actually do think that Billy is a complete arse and doesn't deserve either Daisy or his wife. But the rest of the show is really fun. I have mentioned this before, but I have a huge 70s fetish. I love watching movies and TV shows set in the 70s. I do think that this show didn't lean into the 70s as much as it could. Like I always kind of think when you're making movies in the 60s, 70s and 80s, and you're dressing your characters, you need to think, could this character walk off the screen and walk into today and look normal? If they can, then you're not dressing them wrong. They should look like they come from a different time. And unfortunately, Daisy could 100% just walk off the screen onto like a 2023 street and she'd be fine. But they do have a little bit of fun with some of the afros and the mustaches, and there's a whole disco movement, so we get that as well. They also wrote original songs for the band, all of which are really great, and I have been listening to on repeat for like the year. They're all in my Spotify like top 10, loosely on Fleetwood Mac. It's supposed to be like a bit of a Fleetwood Mac fanfic. Yeah. So when Fleetwood Mac were recording Rumours, which is their most famous album, Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham were breaking up, and they wrote their respective songs, Silver Springs and You Can Go Your Own Way. So Billy and Daisy is definitely based on Stevie Nicks. Like you absolutely can tell that when you watch the series. And Billy, I think, is supposed to be based a little bit on Lindsey Buckingham, a little bit on a few other rockers from the time. But their relationship is definitely supposed to be based on Fleetwood Mac, which also got me into listening to Fleetwood Mac. So I've also been on a real 70s kick this year. But no, Daisy Jones it's a really fun series. It's only, I think, 12 episodes long. So it's almost like just watching a long movie, those limited series where, it just feels like an elongated film. And again, another one where the characters are really fun. Riley Keough is fantastic as Daisy. And she's one of those characters, like Daisy is one of those characters that she's such a mess that you need a charismatic actor to play her. Otherwise, you just wouldn't like her. And Riley Keough is fantastic. She has really inherited those Presley pipes. Like, you can definitely tell she's the granddaughter of the king. Great singing voice, great
I
stage
didn't know
presence.
that, actually.
Oh, you didn't know? Yeah,
No,
she's Lisa Marie Presley's daughter.
Oh, okay.
So,
nice.
So yeah, she's the granddaughter of the king. And God, imagine being Elvis Presley's granddaughter and not being able to sing. So it's a good thing she's got pipes.
Yeah.
But no, she's got a great singing voice. And yeah, it's just a really fun series. And again, I loved it so much that I watched it twice in a row. I watched it and then I rewatched it again. Because it reminds me a little bit of Almost Famous. I'm assuming you've seen Almost Famous? Yeah. So it has that sort of vibe, 70s rock band on tour, the sort of, the music culture of the 70s, the drug culture of the 70s really just shows you that. Oh, it's got a great cameo from Timothy Olyphant. He shows up in like 2 episodes as their tour manager, and he is brilliant and so hilarious. Yeah. So it's a really fun watch. And for anyone who likes good music or is a Fleetwood Mac fan or just likes the 70s, I would definitely recommend the series. I do have a bit of an issue with the last 5 minutes of the series just because of the way the love triangle ends up resolving. I'm not a massive fan of the way it ends up resolving. However, I can overlook that for the rest of the series. So now I'm assuming I don't think you've seen this one. Have you, Keith?
No, I haven't seen it. It's one I was going to check out when it first came out, and then I didn't get around to it. So, and because I think the author of the original book, like she grew up watching like Fleetwood Mac, that sort of thing. So it's obviously based on that. And yeah, it's interesting. You seem to prefer the series because most people have said the opposite. I think the book is a big favourite of people's.
But the book, it's actually really interesting, but I feel like the characterization is better in the movie. Like they in the TV show rather, like they took a few of the characters that were quite thin in the books and fleshed them out a lot. Like, for example, Daisy has a best friend called Simone, who in the book is literally just Daisy's support character. But in the TV show, she gets an entire episode dedicated to herself. They have her exploring her sexuality in the 70s and what it means to be a gay woman in the 70s. It's just, for me, it worked out a lot better. They also give Billy's wife more of a backbone in the series. In the book, she's a little too accepting of the fact that her husband apparently has feelings for this other woman, whereas in the series, she's a lot more aggressive about it and stands up for herself more. So and I think they cast it really well as well. I think that helps a lot.
I can see that from the images, really.
And like Sam Claflin in particular, again, Billy Dunn is a character that you want to smack a lot of the time, so you need a charismatic actor to play him, otherwise you just wouldn't like him. So just a really good one, and that one's available on Amazon Prime. That's an Amazon Prime original series, and it's just a 1-season series, which is all they needed. It tells the complete story, and it's just it's really, really good. It's a really good watch, and like I said, really good music too, so that's a good bonus.
I've got to say, Sam Claflin, decent actor he may be, but he does have a very slappable face, so that sort of works.
Look, I know that I said that I would tell you everything. But how much of everything do you really want to know?
You regretted me and I regret you. You couldn't handle your liquor and you can't see the end of the truth.
You write songs about who you wish you were, not who you are. What if you wrote songs about the guy that maybe wants things that he shouldn't?
Who'd want to hear a song about that?
I think everybody would.
Go ahead and regret me, but I always want to regret you. Go ahead and regret me, go ahead and regret me. Go ahead and regret me, but I'm beating you to a dude.